I thought he said that, so.
He's the director, the superintendent. Well, what are we gonna do? Let me tell you something.
Thanks. All right. What? Talk here.
No, yeah, okay.
Good evening and welcome to the July 18th, 2023 meeting of the Roseland Governing Body. Adequate notice of this meeting is provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, that the date, time, and location of the meeting were included in the annual meeting schedule, posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building, and filed in the office of the Borough Clerk. For those attending tonight's meeting via Zoom, the agenda and any of the relevant documents can be found on the Borough's website, attached to the meeting notice posted in the news and announcement section. During the meeting, an announcement will be made prior to the two public comment periods. Anyone wishing to make a public comment via computer will be instructed to use the raise your hand icon. Anyone wishing to make a public comment via telephone will be instructed to dial *9 at the appropriate time. For those in attendance in person or remotely, please provide your name and address when selected. Mr. Watkins, please call the roll.
Mayor Spango.
Present.
Mr. Barty.
Here.
Mrs. Fishman.
Here.
Mr. Frieda. Mrs. Parati.
Here.
Mrs. Tolley.
Here.
Mr. Trillo.
Please rise to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda, we have our first round of public comment. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, come forward, state your name and address for the record. If you're with us via Zoom, use the raise your hand icon, and if you're with us via telephone, press star.
Meeting, Mayor and Council. Been reading for our County Executive, Joe D. I do have some great announcements tonight. The most important one, our new renovated golf course Burn will open on Thursday, the 27th at 12 noon. Golfers will be totally impressed with the renovations, and hopefully it'll help their golf score. In addition to that, this weekend, I'm sorry, not this weekend, this week, we have extended hours at Turtleback Zoo, which will take place on Wednesday and Thursday night. The zoo is open to 8 o'clock. Also on Wednesday night at the zoo, we also have Zoobies. Our movie will be there on the 19th. In addition to that, we opened up our 4 paddleball courts at Grover Cleveland last week.
Pickleball?
Pickleball. I'm sorry, what did I say?
Paddleball.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. Please, I don't want to build those either. And also, the drainage project, according to Public Works, Mr. Varghese, should be done in the next 10 days. That's being handled in Roseland. And as you know, they're out there fighting the mosquitoes on a weekly basis. So
They've been very responsive, so thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. They
Yeah.
came from, they were in my neighborhood.
No, they were out of put. And even if people put tickets in, or if I called,
Yep.
they were out.
They're out
the
there.
next day.
Yeah.
They're
Very
very
good.
responsive.
Thank you.
Anything you want to take back to the administration, just reach out to me and hopefully we can help.
Good meeting
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Yeah.
Any other member of the public wishing to be heard, come forward. The magic thumbs down from Ryan. Thank you, sir. First on the agenda, we have introduction of ordinance 19-2023. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance of the Borough of Roseland to repeal ordinance number 12-2023 is amended, which provided for salaries and the compensation to be paid to non-union employees of the Borough of Roseland, and substitute therefore salaries and compensation for the year 2023.
Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 19-2023?
So moved.
Fishman, Tolley, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing and seeing none.
Ordinance number 19-2023 will be posted on the borough's website. Notice of public hearing will be published in the progress. Public hearing will be held on Tuesday, August 15th, 2023.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a public hearing on ordinance 16-2023. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 14 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland entitled Parks and Recreation, amending Section 14-5 entitled Use of Pickleball Courts.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Parati, Barty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Does anyone wish to be heard on ordinance 16-2023?
Tedesco, 20 Meeker Court.
read this thing about 3 times just to make sure I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong about it. And if I am, I want to hear it. First of all, the pickle courts, they are, to be honest with you, are in public property, correct? The parks that taxpayers pay for. If they pay for them, why are we charging a fee to people who are citizens of Roseland or taxpayers of Roseland or residents of Roseland when they paid for it? I think that's wrong. They shouldn't have to pay anything. They paid already. And once a fee goes on, it's not going to go off, and there's only one place it's going to go, higher. It's like a tax. Not going to. So I think this is a lousy, terrible thing that you're going to do by charging people or residents. Now, I'm not against the people that you have in here that are not residents. That's fine with me. But to charge people who live in this town, who paid for this park, and I understand how popular it is. Just heard about the county. You know, it's very popular, and I understand there's a backload. That's fine. I can understand appointments for it. But a charge to people, your constituents, people who voted for you, people who depend on you, you know, I think this is terrible. You know, really. I think you should take this ordinance and do it over. You know, personally, that nobody should be charged. A resident, let me put that way, a Roseland resident should not be charged to play pickleball right here on pickleball, whatever it is. All right, this is terrible. You know, really, they paid for it. And you're going to go, oh, there, you pay for something, now you got to charge for it. Come on. And they're going to upkeep it. You're going to charge them to upkeep it too. It's wrong. So all I'm saying is you should not, any resident, and I understand they register and all that stuff, and there's only certain times. How do you enforce? Is somebody going to be there to make sure that they're a resident? Is somebody at the gate, so-called, or whatever? I don't know that. You know, just saying. But I just think this fee is outrageous to a citizen of Roseland who's paid for something already. So I'm asking you to table this, do it over. Like I said, I'm not against people from the outside. I'm also against people, too, from the outside if you say they work in town. You got the big buildings there. I don't think those people should get it for free. They should pay. If they're not a citizen or a taxpayer, yes. But anybody we paid for it. And you're going to charge me or anybody else? It's ridiculous. That's my word.
So we did not have a fee structure in place when we opened up the pickleball courts. The group of residents from Roseland who actually used the pickleball courts asked us to implement this because of the out-of-town people. And the ad hoc committee or advisory board, whichever we came up with this number because of the fact that they felt that there were not any checks and balances in there. We did not have a fee system in place when we first opened the pickleball. The one question I have is the court that is going to be at Tedesco, the open courts, do they need to pay the fee for that as well? Or is it only for the reserved courts? Because if it's not for the open play courts, then they have somewhere they can play open. Is it for the reserved only, or is it for all?
Fee is the fee.
Yeah.
It was an administrative fee to cover. Yeah, it was
Right.
administrative fee to cover the cost of creation of IDs, enforcement of the IDs, the system to create the IDs, the software to reserve the courts.
Right.
$10 for a resident, $200 for out of town.
And the recreation programs are like for kickball, for all the recreation programs, everybody pays a fee.
Right.
We all pay a fee. If you do a recreation, like we do kickball, I just paid a $60 fee to play. So we kind of tried to keep everything equal for everybody who
Consistent.
plays a sport or uses it.
I'm a person for free recreation. But we've been having, I understand that, but the people who pay in there most likely are Roseland residents. Now, the administration fee, we have a driver's license. I have a tax bill. I can show that as identification anytime. I just feel this is wrong. The fee, I'll guarantee you, whatever it is today is going to be more tomorrow, so-called. And especially,
I actually disagree because after this happened, the pickleball group that has said this wants to revisit the fee structure.
Well, I feel this way. Fine. If they want to pay, let them pay, but actually, I don't think it's right. Out-of-towners, yes, what they're trying to do, and I agree with you. I'm not discussing that. I agree 100%. I'd make it even more to discourage it. But for people in Roseland, maybe they have more money than the average person. I don't know. I'm not going there. All I'm saying is the people in Roseland who are taxpayers paid for this. They shouldn't have to pay another dime. All right? They're the ones who keep it up. When you do your taxes and everything, it's an upkeep, right? That's fine, but not for them. Recreation to me, I'm brought up in a different era, was for free. Now I understand there's different things, the way our laws are and the lawsuits and all that stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, it should be, that's my opinion. You know, I don't know who these people are. They're the majority of the people that pay it or the one who wants it for themselves. But all I'm saying is there's some people, especially right now, the water and sewer is going to go up. It's at $10, but whatever. It should be my opinion. I'm against it 100%. I think you should table it and go over it. Thank you.
Any other member of the public wish to be heard on ordinance 16-2023? Fine. Thank you. If not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Marty Fishman, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 14 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland entitled Parks and Recreation, amending Section 14-5 entitled Use of Pickleball Courts.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Marty Fishman, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barty?
Yes.
Mrs. Fishman?
Yes.
Mrs. Parati?
Yes.
Mrs. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 16-2023 will be advertised in the progress as a passed ordinance and shall take effect as provided by law.
Next on the agenda, we have ordinance 17-2023 for public hearing. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance by the mayor and council amending the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland to repeal Chapter 22 entitled Flood Damage Prevention, to adopt a new Chapter 22 entitled Floodplain Management, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 17-2023?
So moved.
Second.
Fishman, Barty, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on ordinance 17-2023? Thank you, Ryan. If not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Barty, Fishman, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance by the mayor and council amending the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland to repeal Chapter 22 entitled Flood Damage Prevention, to adopt a new Chapter 22 entitled Floodplain Management, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
Parati, Fishman, roll call vote, please, Mr. Watkins.
Mr. Barty?
Yes.
Mrs. Fishman?
Yes.
Mrs. Parati?
Yes.
Mrs. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance number 17-2023 will be advertised in the progress as a passed ordinance. It shall take effect as provided by law.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have ordinance 18-2023. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 17 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland entitled Water and Sewer.
Do we have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 18-2023?
So moved.
Tully, Fishman, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Does anyone wish to be heard on ordinance 18-2023?
That's the thing we could go. I just was wondering if you went over my idea where people can deduct it from their taxes on it. I was just wondering about that. That's
We
all.
did.
I'm not against it.
Maureen?
Yeah, so as you're aware, only $10,000 of property taxes.
Yeah.
Right. So our average taxpayers' property taxes are above $10,000. So there would be no
Is-
additional deduction.
Is that for the state or for the federal government? So I thought the state, yeah, well, how about the state, they can get a deduction of that from the state though? Yeah, I mean, basically, I know the federal government's at 10,000, but the state isn't. So the state,
And,
we get
and
a,
there's other issues with bringing it into the budget. You could have cap problems because of the cost being so high. So I know there's a lot of municipalities who've had it in the budget and actually removed it and set up not an authority, but set up a water sewer utility because of the reasons they just can't stay within the caps put on by the state. It's a
No.
large number.
I'm just,
Yeah.
because what I know, there's a lot of municipalities up in Bergen County that you pay the water, because it's Viola now, it used to be United Water, they pay that separate.
Right,
But the sewer is in their taxes,
Mhm.
basically it could be a separate line item, as far as I'm concerned, and at least the people could deduct it and get a deduction. So I understand the federal is the
Right.
10,000, but the state isn't. So if they get a little something off, it'll help them. That's it. That's my idea was.
Any other member of the public wish to be heard on ordinance 18-2023? If not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Fishman Barty, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Watkins, please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 17 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Roseland entitled Water and Sewer.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barty?
Yes.
Mrs. Fishman?
Yes.
Mrs. Parati?
Yes.
Mrs. Toley?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-2023 will be advertised in the progress as a passed ordinance, shall take effect as provided by law.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Resolution 227-2023, approving the July 14th bill list. Everyone received the bill list for questions, concerns, recusals. Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the bill list?
Motion. Toley.
Second.
Foley, Fishman, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Next, we have adoptions of resolutions. I'd like to move 1 through 11, Resolution 228 through 238. Questions, concerns about those 11 resolutions or recusals? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to move those 11 resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Barty, Parati, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Next, I'd like to move Resolution 240-2023 through 246-2023, or Resolutions 13 through 19. Questions, concerns, recusals? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to move these?
Motion. Toley.
Second.
Foley, Barty, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Next, we have the consent agenda, 1 through 6. Questions, concerns, comments, recusals for the consent agenda? If we have none, can we have a motion to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Fishman, Tully, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Mayor's report, just to report back on the concert. We had a nice concert last Wednesday night. We have 2 more concerts coming up. The next one, August 7th. I'm sure someone will go into detail as to what the concerts are
Yes.
that are right out here. We look forward to them. We look forward to good weather too. Besides that, I have nothing. If I have anything, I'll add. I'll go to committee reports. Finance Administration, Councilman Barty.
Thank you, Mayor. Maureen mentioned to me right before the meeting that our tax rate was recently approved by the state. So at our next meeting, we'll have our final tax bill presentation, and everyone will get their final taxes versus the estimated. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilman Fried is not with us. Councilman Tolley or Parati, anything to add from that committee? Public Safety?
Yeah, first we had to put this on here to discuss if we approve, to fly a drone for them to,
The
cell towers need to be looked at, so, and I know the
We have an
drone,
ordinance.
we have an
that
ordinance.
No drones can
Fly in a fly zone.
So they're asking permission to use a drone so they can inspect these cell
The cell towers. So I guess we have to vote on that, right?
towers. To give them permission.
That'll
They-
be like
If they
during,
don't have permission from the FCC, the FCC actually grounds the drone if you put it up there without permission. So, believe it or not, they need FCC approval also.
Through their own controls, they could grant it.
They
what are they
can-
gonna do?
I sent a drone
Yeah,
up to look
Well,
for, I sent a drone up to look for a missing person.
They'll give me a date.
We didn't have permission. The drone went right back down.
Well, we
But
could
if-
tell them to do that when there's no
amazing.
activity, you know.
Right,
no
and
activity
then, and
going
then
on,
we
right?
can we put out some kind of like, you know how we do the, civil.
How long are they gonna be up?
I know, but people see a drone and they'll be calling the cops left and right. Can we put it out on
Brian could
the?
put that
Yeah,
out.
so
Okay.
I'm gonna tell them it's okay, I'll get some dates, I'll let you know the dates.
Yeah, just during a time when there's
Yeah.
nothing else going on.
Helicopter, right?
Right.
Get people
Early
called
Right,
helicopter
right,
fly.
right. So, but
Yeah.
that was the one thing. And then I just wanted to acknowledge some of our police officers. There was an incident on Monday morning with a stolen car that was picked up on an LPR reader in Livingston. And it kind of carried over to 2 shifts. So Officer Hughes, Hopkins, and Murata helped pursue the car along with East Hanover, Florham Park, Livingston. The car was stopped, and three actors were taken into custody at the time of this, around about the time it occurred. There was one actor who had fled. The following morning, Officer Constantino, Sergeant Bellantoni, Officer Russell, and Officer Miller found the actor. They called it in. He was arrested the following morning by Livingston, and Officer McDavitt did a great job on the desk, coordinating everything in the morning. So all 4 actors were arrested who stole the car. Kudos to the Roseland Police Department and all our officers who helped to make it happen. They did their job and they did it well. And I want to thank them for all their help to get them.
It's actual proof that the LPRs are effective as well.
Yep.
That was an
And,
LPR.
Yep. And I did hear that the grant for the LPRs is moving forward, and hopefully we'll hear soon about that for the 5 towns. So I just want to thank
know
our police
The
department.
grant was approved for $963,000. I doubt that's all ours.
I know, I
We'll
didn't
be
want
getting a
I
piece
didn't
of
want to say it until I knew
No, it's in
what
the
we were
grant
getting.
documents. I don't know how much it's ours, but we're getting a
Yeah,
piece of it.
so we're excited about that, and they do work. And the
Yes, I have this
officers
right here.
responded, so I want to thank all of them who participated.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to add, I mean, there's been noticeable more police presence on the roads.
Yes, yes.
Like, I mean, so thank you to the
Thank
department for that.
Director
too.
Matthias for that.
Noticeably more.
Yep,
So,
he has put everybody out. They take those
Just-
ramps.
Just to
and-
show you how smart these actors are, the other 2 were apprehended trying to leave town in separate Ubers.
Ubers.
So.
And the other,
But the police department recognized that an Uber's not usually in town at 3 o'clock in the
we
morning.
have no bars.
Stopped them and took them out of the Uber. So it's Director Matthias. Well, I think. Do you know if they're in the youth house or if they were released?
Well, I do want to say that the signing of the bill by Governor Murphy regarding the stolen vehicles, hopefully it helps. If this was their second offense, then hopefully the punishment is a little stronger. I mean, Mayor Springle was there for
I should
it.
have mentioned it. So what the administration, bipartisan, I was there.
Yes.
I was only one of 2 mayors invited because of what we've done in West Essex to attend that bill signing in Long Branch. And it was a very good example of how when groups work together, things can be worked out. I mean, it started really with one of our hometown people, Governor Cody, and one of us just into Morris, which is Senator Bucco, started this, I think, almost a year ago. and all the pressure, I don't want to say pressure, but all the advocacy of not just Roseland, every mayor in the state, because it's not just specific to us, got the attention and they're stiffening the penalties. Do I think they should be stiffer? Yes, but I think we're at a starting point and at least someone heard our residents and every resident across the state that's been complaining about this to give more teeth to it. And the example that I really brought to the governor's office and to our senators was the example of a car that, and I used it last time at our meeting, there was a group that tried to pull some door handles in town. They wound up getting a car and getting into a high-speed pursuit in Milburn and Summit. Long story short, high-speed chase pursuit ensued. Actors flipped the stolen car over, landed on the roof of the car. Actors were all apprehended. So you had a high-speed pursuit, putting the police officer's life in risk, putting the public in risk of people who may be outside walking their dog or just getting out of their car. The actor's car flipped over, 4 actors taken into custody, released to the custody of their parents.
Within a few hours.
It's very, very difficult. From the officer's side, I give them a lot of credit. They're risking their lives, and that person may have gotten out before their shift was over. How are they motivated to go chase that person the next day and possibly not go home to their family to say the person's going to get out before my shift's over? So there's no question that the laws have to be stiffer. They're in the right direction. Should they be more severe? Yes, they should not be out. They should be in the youth house. We're in a step in the right direction. I don't think we are where we need to be, but we appreciate everyone working together. Hopefully, this might be the first test case for us of people actually having that law apply to them. So, and thank God everybody in our town is safe, with the exception of the Exxon.
State.
When I drove by this morning, it looked like something out of a movie. It looked like they launched and took the entire sign out.
That was pretty bad. I mean, they're young kids.
It's like when I got in an accident, told my father I got a small scratch on the car.
Clearly, they're young.
Yeah,
They're young and they can't drive, and it just goes to show 90% of the time there's accidents, and that's how they get punched. So.
Recreation, Councilman Trillo is not with us. Councilman Barty or Fishman, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
No.
Just fall signups are here.
And we have a few programs that are going to be starting, but, recreation programs, but nothing really major at this point.
Redevelopment Legal, Councilman Fishman.
Nope, other than we're going to start to see building. I know I said that a couple of months ago, but we will. Planning board is approving different things. Zoning board is approving different things. So we will be seeing those projects that were approved pre-COVID come to fruition now. So it's all good.
Thank you. Community Outreach and Shared Service, Councilman Tolan.
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor stated before, we do have 4 concerts. Last week's concert featured Country Comfort, playing a vast array of country and western tunes. Some of you in the audience may have noticed some adults doing some line dancing, and I've recently had a few requests from some residents in town that would maybe like to see some line dancing classes, like we had Zumba classes several years ago, so we may possibly be looking into that. The next concert will be held on Wednesday, August 2nd at 7:30, featuring a group, the 80s versus the 90s. They will be playing hits from those years. Then on Wednesday, August 23rd at 7 p.m., the History of Rock and Roll will perform. Sit back and relax or dance as you listen to songs from the 1950s through the 1980s. The last concert will be held on a Friday evening, September 9th, also at 7 p.m. The group is called Super Trans Am and will be playing songs from the 70s. Looking ahead to the spring of 2004, it's a little bit of ways. 2024, what I said, 2004.
You forgot about 20
I don't want to
years.
be back there. I forgot 20 years. 2024, the Beautification Committee will be helping the Historic Commission by planting some raised flower beds at the Harrison House on Eagle Rock Avenue. And Roseland High School students, public and private, in grades 9 through 12, are welcome to join the Municipal Youth Guidance Group. The first meeting will be held in September A date is yet to be determined where the students will plan what community service projects they will be doing. And then I have just a little tidbit. I think Danny's not here, but I just read something online and in the paper. I know a lot of people go to our Essex County parks, and some of them have ponds and lakes. Okay, feeding the ducks pieces of bread is no good. Okay, it's not good for their digestive system. It's not nutritional for them, and also can cause algae in the water. They said the best thing if you want to feed ducks is give them blueberries or peas or oats. So let's save the environment and save the ducks. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything for committee reports? Hearing seeing none, next we have the approval of the June 20th caucus and executive session minutes, with Councilwoman Fishman recusing herself. Everyone received those minutes for questions, concerns, recusals? Not, do we have a motion to move?
So moved. Second.
Totally party, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Next, our second round of public comment. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, come forward, state your name and address for the record. If you're with us by Zoom, use the raise your hand icon. If you're with us telephonically, press star. Hearing and seeing none, we will now close to go to our second round of executive session. When we return from executive session, we may take action on Resolution 12, 239-2023. We didn't have enough time to discuss some things in our first round of executive session. That's the only thing we will take action on, possibly take action on when we come out of executive session. That being said, do we have a motion to close for our second round of executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Barney Tolley, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We'll start with, as the room clears out, we'll start with you, we'll go to Joe, and then we have personnel.
I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I was asking.
16, additionally designated.
Hey, you know what, I do
Right.
talk to Michelle, I gotta ask you a question about something.
Conditions of approving it?
I would choose to thank you.
No.
Who designates them as conditions.
I don't know specifically what the conditions are, but it was Matt Kelly first, and so now they're being designated as the developer.
Right.
But I don't, Joan could
Yes.
probably know.
Yes.
Right, no worries.
Yes. You have Brian awake outside? All right, we're out of executive session. The only agenda item that we have is Ordinance excuse me. Resolution 12, ordinance 239-2023. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Parati, Barty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We have no other items on the agenda. What we have is an adjournment. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Barty, Toley, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Good night. I mean, it's Mulford Court. It's not. I'll contact, what's it, Laura Bata?